Hello, my name is Mike Hackley, and I am going to be discussing the next steps in this project, which are going to be actually extracting the data from our data sources and through the extract, transform, and load process. Now, looking at the scope of the project that we're talking about, we are talking about Deloitte, which is one of the largest sales organizations in the world. We're talking about an annual gross revenue of approximately $50 billion. So the idea of them continually losing sales consultants is not putting them in the best competitive space. And we have been garnered to actually deliver a solution to improve the compensation of their consultants. So, with that being said, let's jump into today's project. So, data modeling is going to be the starting point of this electronic or this enterprise data warehouse. The enterprise data warehouse, again, should encompass the entirety of the organization, and we're wanting to get as many players as we can to be a part of this conversation. Um, Being collaborative is super important. Without that, we're not going to be able to have the acceptance of the tools that we end up creating. So, when we're looking at the tools that we want to create, it is essential that we have an effective data model. What is a data model? The data model actually shows us everything from the data source through the actual business intelligence tools that we're going to create. We're going to look at the different data sources that we're going to be using. This is also where we're going to be defining our ETL or our extract, transform, and load processes. This is also where we begin talking about data governance and what that all means. This is going to be an opportunity for us as an organization to really revamp the way that we're looking at data, its collection, and its actual usage. So when we look at the process of extract, transform, and load, it starts with understanding the data sources themselves. Then we're going to pull that data from those source servers, and we're going to have the process what is called extraction. Now, extraction is actually a very simple part of the process where we're just going to pull the data off. It is in the transforming process that things begin to get a little bit more wiry, because now we're looking to take this data that is in its source format and we're going to transform it into a usable piece of data that we're going to be able to implement into our data warehouse. So the process that goes through the transforming stage is critical because that's what's going to allow us to take that raw source data and then be able to give attributes to it that are going to allow our end users to be able to naturally assimilate into this environment. When we are building the data model, we don't want to use abstract terms that are completely different than the normal business dialect that our users are accustomed to interacting with on a daily basis. When we actually get into the transform section of this process, this is also where we begin to look at the data profiling tools. The data profiling tools allow us to automate and streamline the process of verifying the data. It allows us to have a set of rules established if there are errors. It also allows us to, again, add those attributes that are necessary for our team to be able to work with the data in the most efficient manner. When we're looking at the data warehouse, special care must be taken when we're looking at things like data storage, which is going to be the ultimate size of the data warehouse. We can also look at virtualization, which is going to be taking the source data that we have in our warehouse and being able to use it as sort of the transactional way. Um, in our case, our database is just going to be much too large for us to be able to use virtualization, so we will not be using that. Um, in terms of the tools, we're going to be using um, the same data warehouse tools from our vendor that we selected, Segment, from our last meeting. And there are data profiling tools within that suite that are going to allow us to take care of the entire ETL process. I definitely hope that this helps to clarify things as we move into our own data model. As you can see here, as a reminder, this is the draft schema that we have come up with, the draft dimensional database that we have come up with, and here is that draft schema. So I look forward to working with you as we move through the next steps of this process.